Hello learners, welcome to this video lesson. Today we are going to discuss another topic, that is scope of education from the viewpoint of mode of providing education. Before starting our discussion, let me to introduce myself. I Dr. Niradhar De, Associate Professor, School of Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Welcome you all to this video lesson. Friends, as you know, presently we are in the second module of your course. Your course code is BESC 131 and course title is Education, Concept, Nature and Perspectives. In the second module of this course, module title is Scope of Education. In this module, three important lessons are there. First lesson is Scope of Education from the viewpoint of different learning environments. We have already discussed in our earlier session different learning environments, that is formal education, non-formal education, at the same time informal education. And the second lesson, that is on scope of education from the viewpoint of major focus of study of knowledge. We have already discussed that is liberal education, professional education and vocational and technical education. And in this session, we are going to discuss scope of education from the viewpoint of mode of providing education. Different mode of providing education, that means we can say that the conventional mode, that is the face-to-face mode of education, then distance mode of education, that we call as ODL, Open in Distance Learning System, and presently the popular mode of education, that is online education or online learning. So today our major focus upon these three mode of learning, mode of education, that is face to face, distance and online. Before going to discuss the particular aspect of today's lesson, let me to focus upon the learning outcomes. After going through this video lesson and the content which is given in self-learning material, you will be able to classify education from the viewpoint of mode of providing education. As already I have said that different mode of providing education is the modes that we use for imparting education, for transacting education, that is face to face, distance and online education. And the second learning outcome from this lesson, that is after going through this video lesson and part content, you will be able to compare among face to face, distance and online education as different modes for providing education. I am very much hopeful that after going through this video lesson, definitely you will achieve these learning outcomes. Let us go forward. I have already said in the learning outcomes and in different mode of providing education. So under the scope of education, if we will consider that mode of providing education is one of the scope of providing education, that is three types of mode usually that we use, that we follow in our teaching learning system, that is face to face education, open and distance education and online education. Now let us go forward to understand that how learning takes place, what are the characteristics in every mode of learning. So first let us focus upon the face to face mode of education. You see, the concept of face to face system of education can be traced back to the Gurukul system of education. It was a type of residential system of education. Let me to say, if you will focus upon the ancient system of education, in ancient system of education, what we are doing, you will find that the disciples or the sishyas, they were coming to the gurus, okay, and they were living together in a residential setup of schooling or residential setup of education, you can say. Means every day teacher and student, or you can say the gurus and the disciples or the sishyas, they were coming contact, they were interacting themselves, and mostly the learning was verbal in nature. Whatever the gurus decides or whatever the gurus teaches the learners or teaches the sishyas, they were considering it and they were memorizing it, and further they were also practicing it in their life. Apart in the Gurukul system, apart from the verbal training or the verbal instruction, you will also find that gurus were engaging learners or engaging sishyas in different types of activities, natural activities. It may be related to medicine, it may be related to Ayurveda, it may be related to living one's life also, and it may be related to acquiring different types of values in the life of the sishyas. But further later on, Gurukul system of education was replaced by formal education system for the common public. So now we will discuss that how the Gurukul system of education have been transformed or have been replaced by the formal system of education. In a formal system of education, mostly the mode that we use in a formal system of education, that is the face-to-face mode. So here every day there is a curriculum and teacher and students are meeting every day in the classroom or in the school, and as per the curriculum, as per the syllabi, teaching learning process are performed. Further, we can say the state took the onus of providing formal education to its citizens. So further, it may be the central government or it may be the state government that took the responsibility for providing formal education to the learners. To go forward, let me to say elementary education has become the right of the children. I think you all are very much aware about that India is the 139th country in the world to provide free and compulsory elementary education to the children within the age group of 6 to 14 or up to completion of class 8th. So friends, here you see in the elementary education, I was just talking earlier that state took the onus of providing formal education. So here formal education or the formal elementary education up to the age 6 to 14 or up to the completion of class 8, now it is a fundamental right in India, and it is the responsibility of the state to provide compulsory education, compulsory elementary education to the children in the state, in the particular state, those are in the particular age group. Then elementary education in India become a fundamental right. I have already said that of the children through the Right to Education Act 2009. We all are aware, the recommendations and the suggestions and the implementation of Right to Education Act 2009. Face-to-face education is provided to the students starting from elementary education to secondary, senior secondary, higher education, professional education, vocational and technical education. So friends, when we talk about formal education, it is not confined only in school education system, only in the elementary education. Rather, we can say that it includes the school education, that is elementary education, secondary education and senior secondary education, and at the same time it also go beyond that is the higher education system, then different types of professional education, at the same time vocational and technical education. Now let us discuss about the characteristics of face-to-face system of education or face-to-face mode of education. Here you see in face-to-face mode of education, regular classes for the students in a place called a school or a college or a university are taken. It may be school or it may be college or university. Students come to that place and regular classes are conducted in the school or the colleges, and teacher provide lecture and do different types of activities as per the nature of the curriculum, as per the nature of the subject, and further specific curriculum is designed and developed for implementation at that stage of education. Friends, you will find there is a definite curriculum or the syllabi for the elementary students in different subjects, for the secondary and senior secondary students in different subjects. At the same time, even if in the higher education system, though prescribed books are not there or textbooks are not there, most of the books are reference books, but at the same time you will find that a definite syllabi and curriculum are developed for the higher education system, at the same time for professional or vocational education system. Teacher teaches students using methods and techniques suitable for different subjects and topics, and also organizes varieties of activities for all round development of the personality of the students. So, here teacher engage the students by using different activities, by doing discussion, by doing a type of brainstorming, doing you can say by providing lecture to the students, and by engaging students in different types of discussions and different types of activities. It may be within the classroom, within the school, or beyond the school also. And here the effort of teacher is for the all round development of the personality of the students. It includes development of scholastic and co-scholastic abilities of the students. So, friends, when I talk about face-to-face mode of education, what is going on in our face-to-face education system? It includes development of scholastic abilities of the learners, at the same time development of co-scholastic abilities of the learners. Scholastic abilities, it includes all the activities or teaching or learning related to the curriculum, okay, related to the specific syllabi, related to the subject and related to the topics, related to the content. But at the same time, co-scholastic abilities, it is for the total development of the personality, that includes co-curricular activities and other types of activities which is practiced in the school system. It may be related to games and sports, literary activities, it may be related to other types of activities also. Further, teacher is mostly engaged in verbal communication throughout the class lecture for students. A proper time schedule is prepared for implementing the process of teaching and learning in the school in formal education system. Then time schedule includes yearly plan, weekly plan, lesson plan, etc. Then formal certificate is provided to the students after assessing their performance through both formative and summative test or evaluation. So, here after teaching, after completion of the curriculum, after completion of a definite period of that program, assessment or evaluation strategies are conducted and certification are done. Okay, just like certification through different board examination or through a different university examination. Board examination means board examination at the school stage. Okay, it may be at the 10th level, it may be at the 12th level. And in university or the college education, it may be after completion of education, after completion of 3 years degree education or post graduation education, 2 years post graduation education, or you can also give the example of different types of professional and vocational and technical education. Then here promoting students to a higher class requires acquisition of requisite knowledge, skills in the lower class. So, here in face-to-face mode of education, care has been taken to provide requisite knowledge to the learners, at the same time for developing certain skills and competencies. The skills and competencies and knowledge are given at the lower class, and further that skills and competencies and knowledge structure that require for the learner to pursue a new course, to acquire certain new knowledge. Now, let us focus upon the second mode of providing education, that is open and distance education. Okay, we call it is distance education, we call it is open and distance learning or open and distance education. The open and distance education system is alternative mode of providing education. Friends, our country is a large country, we have millions of population here. So, that is why a single mode of education may not satisfy the requirements of every individual, every student. So, that is why there is an alternative system of education, and we also call it is a non-formal system of education. But you will find that in the alternative system of education, that is in the open and distance learning system, mostly the things that we do in a face-to-face system, in a conventional system, we also practice here. Okay. But so far as flexibility and other aspects are concerned, there are the difference between open and distance learning system. Education which is imparted through distance mode without regular class and interaction of students with teachers at a physical space is called as a distance education system. It is the difference that in a distance education system we do not have a regular class just like in a face-to-face education system, but there is the system of face-to-face contact even if in the open and distance learning system, just like during the induction program, during the tutorial classes, and at the same time during the counseling sessions at the specified learning centers. And further, distance education satisfies the requirements of equality, equity and universal education. A single mode of education cannot help the learners for achieve equality and equity, cannot help the society for achieving equality and equity in education, and cannot help for the society for achieving the universal education, because the need of different learners are different. Many a time you will find that the learners, they are engaged in different world of work, they are pursuing a job. So, whether there are any opportunity left for that group of learners, that group of population to go for further study, to go for any type of further education. So, this open and distance learning system provides scope to that group of learners for continuing their education. Now, let us focus upon some of the characteristics of distance education system. Just like open and distance education system is just like a quasi permanent separation. I am not saying here entirely separate from teacher and students, that is a quasi permanent separation of teacher and learner during the process of teaching and learning. Okay. Students are provided a well prepared quality learning material of the entire courses for their study, which is called as the self learning material. So, friends, in the distance education system, this is one of the characteristics that the learners, they receive, they get a well defined self learning material, and further they use this self learning material as a learning resources for pursuing their study. Then further, students are provided support services at different stages for their smooth study. Apart from the learning material, self learning material, students are also receive support services, maybe from the main campus or maybe from the university or from the school or from the open school and from the study center, at the same time from different regional center. Varieties of methods and media are used for transacting the curriculum, such as print media, audio video media, teleconferencing and radio counseling systems are also used for providing learning support to the learners, especially in open and distance learning system. To talk about distance education further, I can say that there is the possibility of direct interaction by the counselor to the learners. Then there is the possibility of doing certain workshop, doing certain practical activities. Then web based conferencing and radio conferencing that we call, if I will give the example of Indira Gandhi National Open University, regular we conduct the interactive counseling session. At the same time, we also do the teleconferencing session that come in television in Gyan Darshan channel. So, that is why in this way, in distance education system, teacher interact to the students and teacher come to the students to understand about the content and to pursue their study. Here self learning is also another important aspect in open and distance learning system. Learners engage themselves in self study, in self learning. When they will go through with the material which is developed self learning material, they learn the self learning material, at the same time they also go through or use other resources. Okay. Then peer and group learning strategy are also used in distance education system. Simulation and gaming is also used. At the same time, virtual education platform are also provided to the learners for expressing themselves, interacting themselves and to get learning support for pursuing their education. So, friends, in this way open and distance learning system is somehow different from a face-to-face learning system, from a conventional learning system. Now, let us try to focus upon the online education system. Online education is electronically supported learning that relies on the internet for teacher or student interaction and the distribution of class material. So, here we use the web based learning, we use internet for pursuing our education. This is a type of online education. So, here whatever interaction, whatever resources will be provided to the learners, that will be provided by using certain online platform. Okay. Just like online education includes different forms of learning like e-learning, electronic learning, mobile learning, massive open online courses that is called as MOOCs. You can give the example of SWAYAM platform or SWAYAM MOOC so far as Ministry of Education is concerned in Government of India. You will find that thousands of online courses are developed and learners are getting admission and they are pursuing their online education and they are getting certification also. Then computer assisted learning, computer and web based training, use of open educational resources. So, mostly the resources that are being used in online education are from different open sources. That means you can use that resources and you can reproduce that resources also. Further, communication between the teacher and students are done mostly in a synchronous mode, but there is also the space for asynchronous communication between the teachers and the students in online education system. Try to understand, in online education system, the interaction which is that are taken place between the teacher and students are mostly synchronous. Synchronous means at the same time, at the real time, when the teacher and students are engaged in different types of online interaction. Okay. Students will ask questions and teacher will answer those questions, and teacher will also interact, give a lecture and demonstrate certain things and students will observe it. So, in this way there is a facility in online education, and at the same time asynchronous, that is called as the offline communication. That means if you write a mail to the teacher, write a message to the teacher in a system that is called as a discussion forum so far as SWAYAM course is concerned. So, here the teacher will further go through your queries and the teacher will reply. Now, let us focus upon in the online education system. Here you will find that so far as the techniques and methods used in online system is concerned, e-text are provided. It may be in a form of open educational resources, it may be in a form of PDF material, it may be a form of PPT and other types of material also. Then audio and video lessons are most important aspect so far as online education is concerned. The reputed experts, national level experts, they took the session, they engaged, they developed the audio and video lessons. And in online education, when you are going through the material e-text, at the same time you will also go through the online tutorial taken by the expert, just like you are now engaged in a video lesson. Okay, you are going through it, and by next academic session, by July 2022, you will find that this course will be available in SWAYAM platform. It will be a MOOC in the SWAYAM. So, that is why the video lessons that you are going through now, you will find that all the video lessons will be available in the online course also. So, that is why audio and video lessons are another important aspect, important part so far as your online course is concerned. Further discussion forum, as I have already said, that it may be by using the synchronous mode or by using the asynchronous mode. There is a discussion forum in online education system, in online learning, where the students or the learners, at the same time the teachers, they will come together and discuss for the benefit of learning of the learners. Then assessment and online certification system are also, or online feedback system are also there in the online education system. Then award and online certification are also given. And further, now let us focus upon the SWAYAM online course, that is the 4 quadrant approach of SWAYAM online course, which is highly popular nowadays. Here you see in the first quadrant e-tutorials are given, that means in the form of audio and video lessons. Further, in the second quadrant you will find the e-content or the e-text, that may be in form of open educational resources, or it may be in a form of online book, or that is called as the e-book, or it may be in a form of PDF or presentation, and or you can say PPT, PowerPoint presentation. And in third quadrant, here there is discussion forum, that means it may be online discussion or offline discussion. You can just write a question or query to your student, to your teacher, and the teacher will answer it, answer your response in appropriate time, and at the same time real time discussion is also possible. In the fourth quadrant, that is dedicated for assessment. So, here objective assessment is there, at the same time subjective assessment is also there. In objective assessment, you will find that in your online course multiple choice types of questions are given, then quiz question, multiple choice types of quiz questions are given, then short answer type or long answer type questions are also given. It depends upon the nature of the course, the nature of the subjects, and the nature of the program that you are pursuing. So, this is the 4 quadrant system of SWAYAM online course, which is which have been implemented from 2017 onwards, and lakhs of students they are pursuing this SWAYAM course. Now, let us try to very briefly differentiate the face to face, distance and online education. Let us compare it. Here you see in the face to face education system, teacher and students are in regular contact and there is constant face to face interaction. But in the distance education system, teacher and students are physically separated, but there is limited face to face contact between them. But in online education system, teacher and students are physically separated, but they experience a regular online contact and feedback. So, here contact is online. Further, teacher decides the pace of students learning in face to face system. In distance learning, self-pacing learning is given importance, and in online education system, self-pacing by the students while learning through online media is given importance. Lecture by the teacher and library books are major source of information in face to face education. In distance education, self-learning print materials are given. At the same time, suggested learning materials, then use of varieties of electronic materials along with counseling sessions are given importance. And in online education system, e-content in terms of customized videos, audios, text available online, and online discussions are given importance. Constant peer and group interaction is possible in face to face interaction system, face to face mode, and individualized and self-pacing interaction, self and peer group interaction is possible in distance education system. And in online education system, this is completely self-pacing learning. Possibility of learning, peer and group activities are there, but that can be done online. Here in face to face education system, you can say that education is less democratic but more autocratic. But in distance education system, democratization of distance education practices are practiced in distance education system. In online education system, democratic and laissez-faire approaches are practices, means freedom given to the learners to choose their subject, to choose their courses, and to complete the courses also. Further, mostly teacher centered approach are used in face to face learning, but in distance education system, learner centered instructional strategies are adopted, and in online education system, learner centered instructional strategies with varieties of online learning activities are conducted. In face to face education system, assessment is conducted by using both formative and summative assessment strategies. In distance education system, formative and summative assessment strategies are adopted, but that is mostly in offline mode. But in online education system, both formative and summative assessment are conducted, but that are conducted by using different online tool of assessment. So, friends, here formative and summative assessment strategies are conducted across the mode of learning, but you will find that somewhere it is possible by using offline and somewhere it is possible by using online. Okay, formative means what are the assessment which is conducted in the day-to-day teaching process, and summative means that is conducted after completion of your entire course, that we can say term end examination or the semester end examination. Now, let us focus upon some of the questions for practice. I am just going through the question. I think this video lesson and at the same time the content that are given to you will help you to get the answer of these questions. First of all, what are the different modes of providing education? Just like 3 different modes of providing education: face to face, distance, open and distance learning, at the same time online mode of education. Then how education is provided in face to face mode? We have already discussed the characteristics of face to face mode of education. Then explain the concept and characteristics of distance education system, how education is imparted, how education is provided by using the distance education system. Then explain the concept and characteristics of online education system. Then further analyze the 4 quadrant system of SWAYAM online course that already we have discussed. The 4 quadrant system is your e-tutorial, e-text or e-content, then discussion forum, at the same time assessment, and further differentiate among the practices of face to face, distance and online education system. So, I am hopeful that definitely you will answer of these questions from the video lessons that you have studied. In our next session, we will discuss another module, that is module 3. Thank you.